Good morning. It is a wonderful world. Thank you, guys. Beautiful. My name is Nancy, and I'm the platform assistant today, assisting Steve, fresh back from Bali. Nice to have you back. I'd like to open with a little excerpt from an old Unity magazine. This one's from October of '89. And if you'd like to close your eyes and just take these into thought. Healing words. Words are the wings we give to thought, the strong pinions of feeling and of song, which, when we stand alone, too tired for prayer, torn with more longing than the soul can bear, words come softly, kindly, whispering into mind, strong, gentle words of courage, words that bind raw wounds of bitter loss and set us free. Loved psalm or proverb from antiquity, or hymn or verse some unknown poet wrote, or axiom a dear one used to quote. The helpful, healing words, such power have they to comfort, calm, and drive dark fears away. Healing words. Amen. Thank you. And let us say our affirming mission statement together. We are a spirit-centered community, living love and uplifting lives. Thank you. And our daily word today is divine wisdom. I embody the wisdom of infinite mind. In his poem, The Answer, Lowell Fillmore describes reaching the limits of human understanding and pausing to give my weary brain a rest. He writes, in that still moment, after self had tried and failed, there came a glorious vision of God's power, and lo, my prayer was answered in that hour. I bless my intellect and give thanks for all the insights it has provided. At the same time, I accept the limits of intellectual understanding. The gifts of God must be spiritually discerned, the Apostle Paul says. In prayer, I let God be God in me. I let go of intellectual understanding. I align my mind and heart with divine wisdom. I trust the infinite mind in me, and I allow it to guide my path. Scripture from 1 Corinthians 2 says, those who are unspiritual do not receive the gifts of God's Spirit, for they are unable to understand them. They are spiritually discerned. Divine wisdom. So many of you know that Unity was founded on prayer and has been praying for 125 years in Silent Unity's prayer chapel. If you ever go to Silent Unity's Unity Village, you'll see that light shining. If you would like us to pray with you, we'll pray with you for 30 days here, and we'll also send it to Silent Unity to help you with your prayers. You can fill out one of the prayer things, put it in the offering, or put it in one of the prayer vessels, and we would be delighted to help you pray. And let's see, our wonderful musicians today are Miss Julie and Miss Leanne, and Mr. Randy, and Mr. Steve. Thanks, you guys, for being here. Like the band is back. And thanks to our guys back there that are helping us, Mr. Mark and Brian and Jim. Thanks, you guys. Oh, hi, you guys that are live streaming. Nice to have you. And let's stand and sing. If you're sitting and watching, you can just sit and watch and sing if you like. And we'll greet each other in between the songs. So please stand.
Let's sing together. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. Let's choose some love. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing love today. How about some joy? I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. Back to heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. Yes. Shall we greet each other? Yes.
Greetings and felicitations. Greetings and felicitations.
A song of praise is a good way. It's a very good way. A song of praise is a good way to start your day. A song of praise is a good way. It's a very good way. A song of praise is a good way to start your day. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. A song of praise is a good way. It's a very good way. A song of praise is a good way to start your day. A song of praise is a good way. It's a very good way. A song of praise is a good way to start your day. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
And if you're wondering who's going to be playing the upright bass, it's me. Not really. That's just there for your pleasuring eye to behold. The angels are playing it. Very good. So thank you, newcomers that are here today. We appreciate you being here. If this is you're here for the first time, we greet you in love and all the good things in this world. We would love to give you a packet of Unity information, so if you'd like to raise your hand, the ushers will bring you a little packet of good stuff. And please stay afterwards and have some coffee and donuts or whatever back there to to have some conversation with the folks around you. Thank you very much for being here. And if you're joining us on live stream for the first time, we welcome you guys too. And by the way, thanks, David, for hooking all that up. Forgot to say your name earlier. YouTube swipe today. Nice. We are expanding. Wonderful. Thank you. So there are a lot of cool things happening here at Unity, so make sure that you check the website if you need more information about anything, or your bulletin, or the hallway on the way out has lots of information too. The Fall Faith in Action Group Study is taking shape. This 6-week lesson series uses Bernie Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection, meaning that imperfection is a gift. So you guys are all off the hook, me too, because I know I am way imperfect. So there's also a workbook that works with study groups. Each week, in tandem with the group study, the lesson topics will be explored at our Sunday services. And in preparation, we are seeking home hosts and facilitators so that we can create smaller groups in the community to work with this book in our Gifts of Imperfection. There's sign-ups in the hallway. A meditation group based on the book Real Happiness starts this week. This practical class can help establish and strengthen a daily meditation routine. So if you already have a routine of meditation, this can enhance it. If you want to start one, this can help you get started on the right foot. So there's still time to join. There's sign up in the hallway. And an online discussion group is forming to study the book A Course of Love. The group is offered on a love offering basis. Please add your name and email address to the sign-up sheet in the hallway if you wish, or let us know if you're streaming. You can probably do that right on the website. And it's a class that you can do on the website, so you don't have to drive here. So that will be wonderful for all of us. Set aside your unwanted clothing and household items and plants for the fall plant and yard sale. The event flyer's in the hallway, and this happens on the 27th and 28th, which you have 2 weeks to go through your closets and your garages. If you have more than one closet, go through all of your closets. And did you want to say something about the yard or the plant part of it?
Well, if you're bringing things for the to donate, I think Tanya wants everybody to bring it on the 26th between 3 and 6. So if that's a possibility for you, that'd be awesome. And then she's also looking for volunteers to help at the plant and yard sale. And she's also looking for, there are several people who have perennials that they need thinned. And so we're trying to set up some gig teams to go around and help people dig up their perennials and put them in pots and donate them to the sale. So if you'd like to do any of that, she's not here today, so you can check in with me if you'd like, and we'll have a great event. Yeah, thanks.
Dig it. Let's dig it. I can dig it.
Dig it.
Okay, Greater Tuna is next weekend. This is a hilarious play set in the fictional, probably dysfunctional town. I'm guessing there. You have to come and find out for yourself. In the fictional town of Tuna, Texas. Affectionately comments on a small town life. This is to benefit both our Unity Spiritual Center and Church of Truth Church. So please help us fill the seats for both performances. There are tickets available in the hallway, thanks to my husband selling them, so make sure you buy one before you walk out today. And also, we are looking for a couple people to sell tickets at the door, and I understand if you would like to do that either Friday night or Sunday, you can get into the play free. So make sure that you let somebody know about that, and please come and see this hilarious play. We're coming Friday. See you then. And May McCarthy is a best-selling author and investor. She will present our Sunday lesson and workshop based on her book, The Gratitude Formula. Come and learn a definable, practical system for achieving success in virtually any aspect of your life. That sounds great. She's going to be here October 6th. And join the Compassion Games. That sounds wonderful. This 3-week challenge is part of a synchronized global intention to coordinate local, organized, compassionate action people. There's more information in the hallway, and it sounds like a wonderful opportunity to show your compassion to yourself and to the world. Oh, Brian. Oh, yes, the flyers are in the friendship hall. Well, you get your coffee and donuts or whatever's in there to munch on. And also, the Course in Miracle group is transitioning from the daily lessons to a study of the text starting October 8th. The group will not meet on September 4th or October 1st. Those are the Tuesdays, 24th, September 24th and October 1st. Those are the Tuesdays that they normally meet. Then they're going to restart the transitioning on October 8th, which I'm presuming is probably a Tuesday also. Great. And by the way, there's not a Qigong this Friday because our Qigong leader will be elsewhere. So you can Qigong at home on Friday. And today is the Women in Unity luncheon. So if you are a woman and you are here in Unity, you can join us. It's a salad luncheon, and we'll be having some fun today. So please join us. For more details on anything else happening, please consult your other sources. Or you can ask me later. Blossom has...
Reiki Circle is also today.
Reiki Circle is also today.
At 12:30?
At 12:30. Sorry we missed that. So let us center our hearts and get ready for our meditation. Thank you.
Please join me in singing In the Stillness. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is peace, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is peace, there is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace.
And now I invite you just to close your eyes and just feel the stillness of this moment. As we turn inward, as we go from the light around us, from the beautiful day and the blue skies that we have around us, to the light that is within us, to the light that lives within our heart and our soul, the light that seeks to shine in and through us each day. And today we get in touch with that in a very powerful and very loving way, where we open our hearts and our minds and our lives and our awareness to the Holy Spirit, that divine self, that divine nature that is who we are. And we allow that spiritual connection to move through our being, to move through our body, to fill our body with energy and life and love and joy, to bring compassion to our thoughts, kindness, caring, concern, connection. The Spirit that we wish to express right now live within us. And it matters not what is going on in our life, that we always have this place in consciousness that we can go to, and that we can call forth what it is that we need in our life. That we literally have the capacity to bring spiritual substance into this reality and to change our life experience, whatever that might be, to something that is based on the highest and best, that brings us a fulfilling and meaningful life, that touches the hearts and minds and spirit of those around us, that make a difference in the world, in our relationships, in our work, in our finances, in our children's lives. Every part of our experience is touched by Spirit. Every moment of our day grows out of our spiritual connection. Every act that we do, every thought that we think, comes from deep within our heart and soul and mind and spirit. And that we have become and are becoming open and clear instruments through which the Spirit of God moves in and through us and out into the world, expressing in the highest, best, and most complete way that it can. For that is our mission. That is our purpose. To be the instrument of God that we have come here to be. To be the hands and feet that create that which is in the world. To honor and respect and appreciate that every life, every being, every form, every creation is holy, sacred, and meaningful. And that we are the instruments of that creation. And so we enter this space in deep gratitude and deep love and deep appreciation for who it is that we are and what it is that we do and how it is that we do it. So let's just take that divine energy. Just take that feeling of love, that feeling of compassion, that feeling of goodness, that feeling of kindness, and just allow ourselves to be with it in spirit, in silence, in the moment, right now, in the silence. I am a compassionate, loving, open, creative instrument of the divine presence that is within me and within everyone. And for this understanding, this truth, this reality, I accept and give thanks. In the name and through the power of the Holy Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
Is that God calling? Just stay relaxed in this inner space. This inner space has the power to set me free. It's the cavern of creation and the truth of you and me. This inner space, an eternity of time. It's the moment of the holy now and the allness that is mine. This inner space contains all that I need. From deep within the invisible flows the living air I breathe. This space is flowing in my bones. It stirs my heart, it stirs my mind, and every breath is flowing in my bones. It stirs my heart, it stirs my mind, and every prayer I've ever known. And I say, breathe, now breathe. This peace, this inner space is the ocean of your soul. And when you feel most broken, the truth is you are whole. This inner space connects us one to all. Though it would never push you, it will break down every wall. And I say, breathe, just breathe. This inner space invites us to renew. In all my endless choosing, I become the chosen to. This inner space, it never knows a past. In a quiet place you can hear it, and it might just make you laugh. So I say, breathe, just this peace of this inner space.
Thank you, Julie. And Leanne, thank you. And Randy? Hey, Randy. Thank you. And Steve? The other Steve. That's the other Steve. Or I'm the other Steve, depending on the circumstances. But welcome today to our service. Carrie and I have returned from Bali, and it was one of those trips we had to make. You know, it was our sacrifice to go over there and connect with the people of Bali, and we survived it, and we're back and healthy and whole and happy and all the good things, and I'll probably talk a little bit about it in my lesson. I wanted to mention before I get into my lesson today is that there's a couple things coming up this week. One is the meditation class, and that's Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. in the Friendship Hall. For those of you that have quite a few people have signed up for it, so there is definitely an interest in doing it, and it should be a really nice way to get into a meditative sort of dynamic in your life, and just feel the power of it and the experience of it, and to reinforce it each week for 7 weeks. So please come to that if you're able to. It's a love offering basis, so don't let finances or anything else get in your way. The second thing is the Course on Love. That's an online course, and it's on the Zoom platform. And if you have signed up for it, or you want to sign up for it, there's a sign-up sheet in the hallway. And the main thing I need is your email, because I'm going to send out Monday morning, I'm going to send instructions out to everybody on what to do. All you need is a computer or a smartphone that has a camera and a microphone, and an internet access, and you can be part of the discussion group. And it should be fun. It's going to be hopefully be an ongoing thing, and it's certainly not limited to people in Coeur d'Alene, but I'm focused on people in our congregation right now for the most part. So it should be a really interesting experience that we all can be a part of.
Hey Steve, just curious, if people wanted to join you, or you wanted to do it from home, or you wanted to do it
Here.
So if somebody wanted to come and sit with you, would they be able to do that?
Not very easily, but they could sit on another computer in the church. So if they want to participate, you really need to be online, and it's very easy to participate. There was a little boy who was afraid of the dark, and it was really something that he feared a lot, and his mom really wanted to work with him on that issue. And so one night, when it was dark out, she called him into a room and she said, would you go down to the back porch and get me the broom? And he says, well, no. I says, I don't want to, it's dark down there. I don't want to go back there. And she goes, no, it's okay. So I just want you to know that Jesus is there. And Jesus is there wherever you go. And he said, are you sure? She says, well, yes. Jesus is always there, and Jesus will protect you. So he thinks about it for a moment, and he says, okay. So he goes down, and he steels himself, and he goes in through the kitchen, and he comes to the back door, and it's dark out there. And he grabs a hold of the door, and he opens the door just a crack, and he sticks his head in there, and he says, Jesus, said, if you're out there, would you hand me the broom? Darkness is kind of, it symbolizes a lot of different things, but oftentimes darkness is where a lot of our fears come from. That darkness is the unknown. It is the place where it is what we are experiencing right now as the seasons change, that right now we're moving from summer. This is the last Sunday of summer this year. Next Sunday will be fall. It will be the first day of fall. So this is your last week of summer. And I don't know about you, but I grieve. I enjoy it, but I grieve of the loss of summer. Because in summer it's not just the weather and the warmth and all that stuff. It's the fact that we have a lot of light outside. And so all of a sudden we're moving into this experience where the light is shrinking, and you're probably starting to notice it more and more, that it's getting darker earlier, and pretty soon all it goes from here clear down to here, where we just have this little 7-hour space during the day when we actually have light outside. And I shiver a little bit sometimes thinking, oh, here we go again. You know, how many times have I been through this over my lifetime, and every year I have a little bit of resistance that I'm sorry to see summer go, and I'm not necessarily looking forward to losing the light. Now, I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing a little experience or a feeling that I go through each year as I work with this. Like we all go through feelings and experiences and have some intrepidation about many things in our life. You know, a diagnosis of a disease puts us into a space of intrepidation and fear because the disease has a darkness around it, an unknown, an unknowing that exists in the context of that. And so it's a lot of things. It's financial concerns that sometimes show up in our life. It's about our work and whether our work is secure or not, or whether we're enjoying it or not. So there's lots of places in our life where there exists the experience of darkness, the lack of understanding of what is really happening in that experience. And so what I understand is that when we lose the outer light and we move into a space of darkness, it really amplifies the need for us to go to the inner light, to go to a light that never shrinks in terms of its brightness, that we never lose it. It doesn't have seasons. It's always there, it's always present, it's always within us, because that's what illuminates our experience in our spirit. And so the only question that we have is, how do we do that? How do we go to that place? How do we use the experience that we're going through right now in our life to bring us to a place where we can focus on the inner light? You know, the majority of the fears that we have in our life, which live in the darkness, the majority of fears we have in our life never happen. Do you know that statistically, 95% of the things that people worry about never manifest? Do you know that? You realize? I mean, that means only 5% of your fears ever show up in your life in a profound way. And to me, that helps me understand that maybe what I'm worrying about I shouldn't be worrying about. I don't need to worry about, because it's only a 5% probability that something's going to happen. So it makes it easier to let go and to look into the light. Most of the fears that we have don't come from ourselves. They come from others around us. They come from the observations that we make and the experiences that we have. July 4th, we had a shooting. You probably, either were there, read about it, or experienced it in the newspaper. And it was a public shooting, right? Somebody shot somebody else, and somebody got shot. And so what does that do to us when we have those experiences? We see the gun violence that exists around the planet. We look at that and we see all this input about it, and yet the truth is that statistically the odds of us ever being in one of those situations is less than 1%. The possibilities of us being involved in that, and yet doesn't it affect our daily life experience? It affects me sometimes when after one of those things happen, I'm in a crowd or something, and I'm looking around. I was working in the booth for the Museum of North Idaho at the fair, and I was doing a little 4-hour shift because I'm on the board of the museum, and so I was working in the booth, and I was sitting there talking with somebody, and all of a sudden I heard this pop, 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 pop. And I jumped and I looked around, and I could feel the kind of the concern, and it turns out it was a Wild West show right outside the door of the thing. And I said, I can't believe that they were shooting guns out there, in the middle of all this crowd, given what's going on in the world. But I realized in that moment just how on edge it kind of puts us. It kind of creates that space and that dynamic in us. And so when we're willing to kind of look at that, we're willing to step back a little bit and take a look at those experiences in our life, we begin to realize that the darkness, which all this fits in that category, the darkness is the unknown. It's anything that's unknown in our experience, and it's represented by the underworld and the myths of the underworld in Greek mythology and some of the other stories over the years, and it's perceived as the home of evil. That the darkness is the source of the evil that occurs in the world. Now, Thomas More talks about the darkness in his book, Care of the Soul, which is one of my most favorite spiritual books that I have used and read and embraced in my lifetime. And he talks in a very deep and powerful way. He says that, if we do not claim the soul's power on our own behalf, we become its victims. Now, he talks about the soul as a place within us where the darkness exists, that our soul is that place of darkness in our consciousness. We suffer our emotions rather than feel them working for us. Pull our thoughts and passions inward, disconnecting them from life, and then they stir up trouble within, making us feel profoundly unsettled, or it seems turning into illness. We all know what it feels like to hold anger in our hearts as it builds and transmutes into corrosive resentment and rage. Even unexpressed love creates a pressure that demands release in some kind of expression. You see, the soul is the seat of power within us. There's the mind, there is the spirit, soul, and the body. In one of our teachings in the Trinity of unity, the spirit, soul, and body is the process. It starts with spirit. It must move through the soul being the sum total of our thoughts and feelings that exist both in this lifetime and whatever other life experiences we may have. The soul contains the Akashic records of our spiritual journey as we move through life experiences. So in the soul, there contains a lot of stuff. And the soul is also the place where our subconscious mind lives. And we understand that 90% of the thoughts that we think are not conscious. 90% of the thoughts that we think are unconscious. And they're thinking those thoughts all the time, and we're not aware of them. And it's those unconscious thoughts that get in our way. Many of them are those thoughts of fear, those concerns, those issues, those challenges, those difficulties, those struggles that we have that have been placed in there. And then they create a barrier, a block, through which spirit has more difficulty moving clearly into our physical realm. And so part of the job, or a big part of the job of our spiritual journey, is to bring those things into the light, which is one of the purposes of psychotherapy. And psychotherapy gets into our subconscious and helps us to see what's there and to disempower them, to remove them, so that then we become clear instruments for spirit to move into our reality. And so you don't necessarily have to do that, but it's a really good way to move forward in terms of the journey. So the soul is the seat of power. It's the home of the shadow self. It's also the conduit for our thoughts and feelings and experiences in this life. And my resistance oftentimes is about being willing to embrace the soul, being willing to go there and to look at what it is within me that is creating this, or what is in the darkness of my soul that I need to look at. What can I bring into the light that I can look at and move forward in my life experience? And that's true for every single one of us, that we all have stuff there that we need to look at. The soul power is really the source of power. Like for Jesus and Socrates, they were people who had a lot of power. And its soul power is not well received by those who fear the darkness. So, for example, Jesus and Socrates both taught virtue and love. And both of them were executed because they were a threat. And the threat was the power of their soul. And so they didn't carry weapons, and yet they were persecuted and and executed in that context. So the truth is not always easy to deal with in our experience. The truth is not always easy to look at. And in the context of our unity teachings, it becomes critical if we are to use our teachings in a constructive and positive and powerful way, then we need to create the clearest expression of who it is that we are. And our teachings can be seen as very superficial, very on the surface. So if somebody's having a difficult time and you go up and you say, well, it's all good. It's all good, and they just lost a loved one. Well, it's not good, right? It's not all good. So it ends up being superficial. But if we are connected with who it is that we are, we can recognize that there is a way in which we can bring those teachings into the world, into the lives of others, by understanding the depth and the power and the energy of our soul, and to show up with compassion, to show up as a vessel for listening, to show up as a way in which we can help begin to explore those feelings which end up in consciousness that get in the way of us expressing ourselves fully. And then our teachings become very powerful tools by which we can help people move through the experiences of their life. We can think in terms of positive affirmations and all the things that we teach here in Unity. When I was a minister at Seattle Unity Church, and I first started, and I had all these visions and ideas about what that meant to be the minister of an urban church in downtown Seattle, a larger church. It was at that time, it was in a pretty kind of edgy area of the city. Right now, that's where Amazon is, so it's just gone like way upscale. But right now, or back then, it wasn't. And that was when the homeless issue was really beginning to kind of surface, and especially in a major urban setting. And so I would show up at church, especially the first couple of years, I'd show up at the church, and there were people sleeping all in the doorways and all over the place, and they were defecating in the different areas, and there were needles in the bushes that we had to watch and clean out, and just all kinds of stuff like that during the week. And I kept thinking, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to kick people out of doorways and to do that's not what I wanted to do in ministry. And yet here it was confronting me, and I really struggled with it, and it was really frustrating and really hard to kind of get in relationship to it and to understand it. And one day, I was this guy came into the church. And he said, I'm hungry, I need some food, I need some money to get some food. And I said, just a minute. And I ran down to the kitchen, and I got a little bag out, and I put in an unopened jar of peanut butter, I put in a loaf of bread, I put in some water in the thing, and a couple of other items to eat, and some plastic utensils, and I brought it upstairs. And I said, here's a gift of food for you. And he took it, and he took one look at it, and he threw it at me and walked out the door. And I thought, I don't think I'm seeing this thing correctly. I don't think I'm in right relationship to this reality, because I thought I was doing something really, really good, and no, that's not what it was. And what I realized is that most of the people that I was dealing with had mental illness that wasn't being treated, that wasn't being dealt with, and that's why they were out on the streets, and that was the predominant population that was showing up. And so I had to show up differently. I had to change the way I was thinking. I had to look at it from a different perspective. I had to feel it differently. I had to develop a sense of compassion for the circumstances in the situation. And I realized that this darkness of homelessness was actually calling forth in me something that needed to be revealed. That I was in that experience because there was something in me that needed to come forth. And what needed to come forth was a much, much greater sense of compassion and non-judgment. And to see the situation entirely differently. And when I stepped into that place, when I began to own and understand the feelings that I was experiencing, then I began to work with the situation in a different way. And I made friends with a couple of the people that were there. And one particular fellow, all he wanted to do was sleep there. Just wanted to put his tent up against the door and sleep there. And so I said, okay, I'll tell you what, you can sleep there if you can be gone by 8 o'clock in the morning, because he had to go someplace anyway. And I said, and you can kind of watch things and make sure that, we don't have so many problems around here. And he says, okay, I'm happy to do that. So we worked out a little deal, and I talked with him every day, and I try to say, is there anything I can do to help you? Oh, no. He says, just as long as I can sleep here, I'm fine. And so things started to change. And I started to get in a much better relationship with it and resist it less and realize that that's what needed to be revealed in my soul. I needed to understand that in order to really be a reasonably good minister to other people. And so I was ministering to these folks. When Carrie and I were in Bali, we had an interesting experience learning about compassion. We had, as a part of our trip to Bali, Carrie had arranged with this fellow, his name is Gede Prama, and he's a meditation teacher in Bali, and he is a Twitter friend of Carrie's, and has been a Twitter friend for a number of years. And when she wrote a book several years ago called Finding Joy Around the World, he was one of the featured, she interviewed him, and he was one of the featured people in the book. And so he had a really good, Carrie and him had a kind of a good Twitter connection was going on. And she mentioned that we were going to be in Bali, and so somehow worked out an arrangement where we would go visit him at his house. So we got there, and Carrie said, well, there's one of his students is going to meet us on Tuesday night at the hotel that we're staying at. He'd recommended a place for us to stay. And then then he's going to bring us up the next day to his house. Now, it turned out that we were the first foreign visitors ever to visit him at his house. First foreign visitors to be invited there. It also turns out that he's kind of a rock star in Bali. He's very famous. Afterward, we were there, I asked, do you know Gede Prama? Oh yeah, I know Gede Prama. So he's like one of these really well-known meditation teachers that has a very big heart, a lot of compassion. So we're sitting there Tuesday morning, we're at this hotel, and we're lazily lying in this cabana looking at the ocean and just kind of zoning out, and not sure whether we should be in the cabana or not, whether it's part of our deal, but we're lying there anyway. And all of a sudden, these 7 people in yellow T-shirts come walking down, and we're like, and they just walk right up, and they say, "Are you Carrie? Are you Carrie?" She goes, "Yeah." And we're like, "Who is this?" Well, it turns out that he didn't send one student; he sent 7 students, who all flew from Jakarta to Bali on their own. I mean, they paid their own way. They took 3 days off from their jobs to come and be with us for a day as a part of their service, selfless service and compassion, and be with us for a day, and then to take us up to spend a day with Gede Prama at his house. So we had a chance to talk, and there was two Muslims, 1 or 2 Hindus, a Buddhist, and a Christian amongst the group, 3 women and 4 men. And really nice folks. I mean, just very sweet. We talked. They took us out to lunch, to an Indonesian lunch. It was, really Indonesian food. I mean, it was wonderful. And then they took us to hot springs. I mean, we were like, they're just like taking care of us, right? And the next day they had a bus all lined up, and we went up to his house and spent the day at his house. And Carrie was his primary focus because, they had that connection. So we spent the day they had all these cameras out, and they were filming the whole thing to be put up on their website. And G'day interviewed Carrie and mostly Carrie, but a little bit with me. And so she was the full, which is great. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience seeing that. They gave us all these gifts, and it was just a wonderful day. And they really showed a sense of compassion. Now, one of the things that came up for me around that is that what was the motivation for them to take this time and to come over and to, you know, at their own expense and all this stuff for the students. And Anton, one of the students, he said, it's how we serve. It's how we express compassion. Because our work is about living compassion in our life. And so we come here to serve, and we are here. And compassion, the outpicturing of compassion is that in order to be compassionate, it means that you must do stuff that isn't easy for you to do, that's difficult, that's challenging, that stretches you, that yet you step into somebody's life in a compassionate way and you make yourself vulnerable. And that's exactly what they did. And so that was a perfect demonstration of the experience of compassion and how we can work with that in our life experience. And I was like, at first I was like resistant, but then, you know, they were so kind and so nice, it just pulled us right into the experience. And G'day Prama was incredibly wonderful, and his wife was very sweet, and, you know, we spent the day at his compound, and then they took us back down to the hotel, and it was just an amazing, powerful spiritual experience. And it just reminds me of how, you know, when we get clear, you know, when we do our work, some of these incredible things show up to help us to the next step, because it taught me another level of what compassion is. I always thought compassion was a greater expression of love, but it's more than that. It's also a sacrifice that we're willing to make for spirit and for our life and for our life journey. Thomas More, I think, talks in his work with the soul and his work with spirit, he talks about how darkness can also show up in our life as depression. And that depression is the experience of going into the dark without hope, without feeling like there's a way out, without the reality. He said aging is one of the, depression is often associated with aging because we lose some of the capacity to feel our youth again, and we sort of move into that space. And he says that depression grants the gift of experience not as a literal fact, but as an attitude towards oneself. So our literal experiences show up as an attitude toward ourselves. You get a sense of having lived through something, of being older and wiser. You know that life is suffering and that knowledge makes a difference. You can't enjoy the bouncy, carefree innocence of youth any longer. A realization that entails both sadness because of the loss and pleasure in a new feeling of self-acceptance and self-knowledge. This awareness of age has a halo of melancholy around it, but it also enjoys a measure of nobility. He says, what if depression were simply a state of being? And I can apply that to, you know, what if compassion were a state of being? What if these things are just part of who we are? Neither good nor bad, something the soul does in its own good time and for its own good reasons. What if it were simply one of the planets that circles the sun? What if that issue that's showing up in your life is simply one of the things circling the light within you that is helping you to see deeper into who it is that you are, that's bringing you further along the experience? And when you begin to look at that, when you say this financial condition that I'm dealing with really is something that is pulling me to a deeper level of experience and compassion for myself and for the journey that I'm going through. And it's a place where I can begin to understand who it is that I am and how it is that I show up, and to begin to clear out the path in the soul so that spirit can move through us and express as us in the world with all the qualities and attributes and consciousness that we would like to bring forth into the world and to make a difference in life. So as we fall, instead of falling back into summer, or back into the way things have been if we can fall ahead and move forward and realize that all of these feelings and experiences and shifts, changes of seasons and situations that show up, they're all moving us forward into the next level of growth and into the next experience. So rather than fear the darkness, we can embrace it and say, this is my opportunity to move forward and to bring forth the fullness of who it is that I am in my life and in the world. God bless you and have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Had to wet my whistle before this one. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Sing to God, give God the glory. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Forevermore, letting love fill the air, and let there be praise. God inspires the joy in the people and dwells deep within. The peace that He gives none can equal, and loving knows no end. So lift your voice and sing joyfully. Proclaim with all your heart, Christ is born in me. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Sing to God, give God the glory. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Forevermore, letting love fill the air, and let there be praise. When the Spirit of God is within us, we will overcome. In darkness, the light will uplift us, and we'll know that we are one. So lift your voice and sing joyfully. Proclaim with all your heart, Christ is born in me. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Sing to God, give God the glory. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Forevermore, letting God fill the air, and let there be praise. And let there be praise. Let there be singing. Let there be music. Let there be honor. Let there be glory. Let us sing praise.
I think I just woke up. Whoa. Thank you. It's good. Thank you, Julie. Man, thanks, Randy, Steve. So let's take this opportunity to take our gifts in our hands and bless them, and just really feel the joy and the love and the appreciation that we are in an experience where we can enter into the giving and receiving dynamic of Spirit. And so we bless our gifts, knowing that as we send them forth into this ministry to do its work, that we make a difference in our area in the world. So I invite you to take your gifts in your hands and let us sing our offering blessing.
Divine love truly blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. Divine love truly blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me care for those around the world. Let me care for those around the world. Oh, let me care for those around the world. Let me care for those around the world. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let us pray. Father, Mother God, we acknowledge this offering as the very substance of your being, created for our use before the world was formed. We know it has been shaped and formed in our thoughts and in our hearts, and now it comes into manifestation through our thoughts and our words, and enters this your ministry with your blessing upon it. According to your perfect law, it returns to each giver heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For our increased understanding of this law, we do give thanks. So it is. Amen. Do we have kids?
Yeah. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
What a good-looking group you guys are. So what did you guys do today?
We listened to the Island of Blue Dolphins book, and we drew pictures.
Very nice. Really nice, yeah. Very nice. And do you have an affirmation for us today? She's got it there, right?
God is love, and we are the love of God.
God is love, and we are the love of God. Let's affirm that together. God is love, and we are the love of God. All right. Well, now let's all stand and join hands as we sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." For protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is, because I am, and all is well. Amen.
Why did I end a beat before everybody else? Did I miscount? Yeah.